You're watching Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
State Representative Danny McComas is our guest on BioLive Wilmington this morning. So what kind of job do you think Governor Perdue is doing at this point?
She has her jobs. She has her job cut out. I'm glad it's her and it's not me.
It's a tough year.
I will say that she's been very much accessible. She was in the legislative building this week. In fact, I know she was there twice this week. I did not see her, but I saw her vehicle parked.
What's the biggest single issue, if there is one?
The budget.
That you most disagree on? The budget with her?
The budget.
Yeah.
The budget
and the remedies
and raising taxes.
For the gap?
Yes.
And which of her decisions do you...
Don, if it were me, and if I were the governor, and if I were the speaker, and if I were the speaker pro tem, the president pro tem, I think what we need to do is, because we don't know which way the economy is going, maybe what we need to do is hold it. Let's not just do the budget. Let's go ahead and do a continuing resolution and keep things where they are, as we have been doing these past few months. And let's leave it at that, and let's adjourn this session, and then maybe come back in October, November, when things are leveled and stable. And then let's do a budget for the rest of the biennium. And that's an idea that I have floated, and it's not...
No takers.
It's no traction, no. But, you know, again, many businesses have done the same, and I know I did it, and I want to see where we're going, and let's wait for some stability.
What about her decision to transfer $88 million from the education lottery to the general fund?
I don't think she had any other choice.
Really?
I really do think, but then again, that goes back to when we put the lottery out, and I make no bones about the fact that I do think the lottery was going to bring funds, but we needed to put that into a constitutional amendment that let the people vote it so that it would be in a lockbox so that nobody could get to it in future generations, and that did not happen.
So you agreed with her decision to take that money and transfer?
She had no choice. I mean, she not only did that lottery, but she did other funds throughout the state that she could. She had to, because the Constitution of North Carolina clearly says we cannot be running a deficit. So it was either that or she was going to be derelict in her duties as governor.
I'm interested in your take on the pending investigation of former Governor Easley with charges of campaign violations and taking inappropriate gifts and other abuses, and the controversy surrounding Mary Easley and her $170,000 a year job, former job at NC State.
If that's not a fiasco, I don't know what is. I've always told my kids there's only one thing you're going to take with you to your grave, and that's your reputation. And I think Mike Easley had, up to this time, had a pristine reputation. He had a Boy Scout reputation. I think he was law and order all the way. But when these things started coming out, I think he should have been more proactive. And again, I'm saying this is me, and just made sure if it was a mistake on his part, and he should have been more proactive in making sure that this didn't go as far as it did.
Do you think there's meat behind some of these charges?
I don't know. I really don't. I can't answer that. I don't know the inside story to that, but there's a lot going on, and it's... do
you think we'll ever find out?
For example, the issue with the airplane trips that he made, he had money in his campaign fund. He could have paid for it after all of this came, became public, because I could see where maybe perhaps he just didn't think about it and, just went ahead and paid for it and said, hey, it's my fault. Let's move on.
Do you think there was improper influence from the governor's office in getting his wife that job appointment at NC State?
Well, there's always the color of the office of the governor that comes to play, and she is wife of the governor, and that's...
What kind of effect do you think issues like this have on public confidence in government?
That's why we have the situation that people look down on government. And rightfully so. I mean, because and I have to say, it's not just one or the other. It's people see that, and I do think, and I do believe that we should be held to a higher standard.
Is that a higher standard or just a normal standard? There's some major dissatisfaction with the unprecedented increases in homeowners insurance and the related beach plan for residents in certain areas of this region by the insurance commissioner. What's your stand on all of that?
We're gonna have something before us in the next week or two.
To
and
cap?
I think, yes, and I think we're gonna find a happy medium. I think it's unconscionable the fact that in Mecklenburg, who's had major flooding this year or last year, and who experienced the worst effects of Hurricane Hugo 10, 12 years ago, and have had more effects than hurricanes moving in from the Gulf Coast up through the western part of the state, that they're having a 20% rate decrease, whereas those of us on the coast, who we've had dollar-wise less effects, and we're going to have a 30% rate increase. Something's wrong with the system.
But since the increases only affect, as you just mentioned, the majority of the coastal areas, do you think the rest of the legislature has the will to help?
I think the legislature's going
here?
to see that what's the right thing to do, and where do we need to, be addressing this. And I think the right thing, I mean, people, they think of the coastal issue, it's those that live in multi-million-dollar homes on the beach. But then what about those of us that live inland, but still on the coast and have a comfortable, middle class home?
This is a small issue, but somebody said this to me, and I said, I'll bring it up, and I just want your take on it. There were a large number of refund tax checks that were delayed because of the state's dwindling revenue cash flow. And someone said to me, why does the state get a pass on that when citizens are penalized if they don't pay their taxes on time?
We've talked about that, Don. That is a darn good question, and we've talked about it. And again, it's like when we talked earlier about the state going up on taxes, and the people can't do that in business.
Right.
And now we do this, and I mean, let's face it, it does affect the cash flow for the state. It does make it it makes it better.
How long have you been in the House?
15 years.
And you're up for re-election. Your seat is
every
up
2 years.
Every so not this election, but the election
next year, 2010.
You going to run?
I'm asked that question every time, and I say I take it one step at a time. And
are you inclined to run?
I am inclined to run. I am inclined to run as long as I feel I have made a difference, and I'm making the people of New Hanover County glad that I am over there. I will run as long as I continue walking down the streets. It's done. Don, it's like a friend of mine said, it's as long as I continue to eat a hot dog with the people of New Hanover County the way I should.
Thank you. We'll see you next week. I'm Don Ansel for Byline Wilmington.
You've been watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Join us every Sunday morning at 11 as we explore the issues that concern you.